All right, so the victim has a destructive personality type that feels helpless or hopeless, right? Victims tend to believe that something within them is inherently wrong, deprived, defective, or unworthy. They always perceive insurmountable obstacles between them and their goals. Characteristically, the victim laments, complains, and regrets life situations. I'll never be able to is a phrase familiar to the victim. Instead of using I'll never be able to, you can say, I don't have to be all better tomorrow. I can continue to make progress one step at a time. I acknowledge the progress that I've made and will continue to improve. It's never too late to change. I'm willing to see the glass as half full rather than half empty. I'm in control of my own behaviors. Then the fourth personality type is the perfectionist, right? The perfectionist is similar to the fault finder. They're typically self-critical, right? However, the motivation of the perfectionist is less to find fault rather to improve, right? So the perfectionist is constantly wanting to improve, right? There's a grandiose desire to be special, and an intolerance of specialness or of setbacks, right? The perfectionist is dependent on external qualities such as being accepted by others, attaining money and status, achieving career success, pleasing and being nice to others, right? The perfectionist often experiences stress, exhaustion, and burnout by way of achievement and the drive for acceptance. I have to is a phrase familiar to the perfectionist. So instead of saying I have to, you, the perfectionist, can say it's okay to make mistakes. Life is too short to be taken too seriously. Setbacks are part of life and a necessary learning and growth experience. I don't always have to be perfect. My needs and feelings are as important as anyone else's, right? So now, how do you adjust your destructive thoughts, right? So if it's a learned behavior and you can change it, so how do you begin to adjust it, right? So, so here are 5 suggestions to help you adjust your destructive thoughts, right? Number 1, you need awareness of situations likely to induce your destructive thoughts. So you need to identify what situations will likely create these destructive thoughts in your thinking, right? Think about all of the occasions where you're feeling anxiety, times you've made some kind of mistake or failed to meet expectations and therefore you felt ashamed or inadequate. Situations which you feel under scrutiny or criticized, times when you're angry at yourself or others. And then number 2 is you want to explore yourself, right? Ask yourself, what have I been saying to myself that led me to feel this way? Do I really want to do this to myself? When you feel too upset to explore and adjust the destructive thoughts, allow yourself to the chance to acknowledge and express your feelings. Then later, when you've calmed down and are ready, you can proceed with the following steps, right? So just begin to explore yourself in these situations. The third one is to relax or distract yourself. You see, relaxation and distraction are powerful coping skills that helps you to deal with not only destructive thinking, right? It helps you not only to deal with your anger, not only helps you to deal with your anxiety. I mean, there's so much that we can learn just simply through the power of relaxation and distracting, right? So you basically, you can use the diaphragmatic breathing that we talked about last week. Any of those breathing exercises that we talked about a couple weeks ago, you can engage in those behaviors, right? Any kind of relaxation skill, progressive muscle relaxation, deep breathing exercises, right? Destructive thoughts are so rapid and automatic and unconscious that they escape discovery if you are feeling urgency or stress. In some situations, it may take 10 to 20 minutes of deep breathing or whole body relaxation or visualization to soothe yourself sufficiently to be able to explore your destructive thoughts. Under less intense anxiety, you might be able to do it as quickly as 5 minutes, right? So it just depends on how intense the situation is, will determine how long to do the relaxation skills for. All right, number 4 is keep a record of the destructive thoughts, right? It would be good to have a journal going that you can begin to include these destructive thoughts, right? And just write them down, right? Write down something like if you say, I feel hopeless and inadequate, write that down in your journal, right? And then ask yourself, what thoughts went through my mind prior to feeling this way, right? So if you feel hopeless or inadequate, think about what happened, what were you thinking before you began to feel this way? And then the 5th one is confront the destructive thoughts. You can confront the destructive thoughts by requiring direct proof of their validity. Here are some helpful confrontation questions. Is this the whole picture or just a kernel of truth? Am I being balanced in my thinking about this? What's the worst scenario here? Then what would happen? What evidence is there for this? What is the real truth about this? Has this ever been true before? There are 2 additional questions in confronting destructive thoughts which help challenge their reality and reasonableness. Number 1 is, did I choose this belief or did it come out of my experiences growing up? And number 2, does this belief promote my feelings of okayness and well-being? And so essentially, once you've learned your destructive thoughts, now it's time to begin to restructure them, right? You want to change them. You want to take them out of irrational thoughts and bring them into rational thoughts. You want to take them out of illogical thoughts and bring them into logical thoughts. You want to take them out of lies and bring them into truth, right? And so basically you're restructuring your thinking here, all right? So you're basically reframing them. So one would be, I can't stand it when someone gets angry with me. So that's the irrational thought. And then how do you restructure it? It can be uncomfortable, but I don't need their approval. I can handle and tolerate disapproval. And so now what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a sentence, all right, of a destructive thought, and I'm going to give you a minute to restructure it. Okay.